All right. Just double check this.
You got the link?
All right. We're live. Just like that. You got 8 people watching. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us nice and early. As usual, welcome back to HaveMoreThanMoney.com. Myself, your host, Michael, with my co-host, Jared Oakes. Jared, how you doing?
I am
doing well, Mike.
Thanks for introducing me.
Of course. All right. So, do we want to wait a little bit longer, or do you want to just jump right into it?
I mean, it's up to you. Obviously, I think we could, say a few things for the people.
I see we got some MTM members here. We got Valdez says, "What up?" Joseph DeRico, my man. What up, legends? Thank you guys for joining us. I think you guys are both, if I remember correctly, we're closing suppliers, right? I know you guys are working hard, which is what we love to see. But all right, we got 7 people watching. Let's just jump right into it. So obviously today we are going to be discussing Google Ads, which whether you're doing high ticket drop shipping or you're looking to get into it, as everyone knows, Google Ads is the way that we do it. You know, we use Facebook for a couple of small things, but 95% of our traffic, is through Google Ads. Jared, I don't know if you want to kind of give a little more background.
Yeah. So, I mean, guys, obviously we don't want to come across as closed-minded. We don't want to come across as anything other than, just honest and transparent, right? But, when it comes to Facebook ads, it's not that we don't like it per se, but we don't think that it's effective for drop shipping, right? And the reason is that people don't go on Facebook to shop. That's one. 2 is that the products you're selling aren't really things that people are looking to really buy. And 3, a lot of the times people just don't associate Facebook with a legitimate place to shop. So what would I recommend Facebook for? Before we get into obviously what we use for drop shipping, I would recommend Facebook for one, if you're trying to build a brand, right? So obviously when you're a drop shipper, a lot of the times you're selling other people's brands. So if you're trying to build your own brand, Facebook is great for word of mouth. If you're trying to open up a restaurant or a gym or anything that's kind of like your own product, then Facebook can be beneficial. Even though I would still recommend to use a high ticket offer for Facebook, I would never, whether it's Facebook or Google, recommend selling anything that isn't high ticket.
Yeah, I think, the main thing that I want to touch upon from what you just said was buying intent, So there's Facebook Marketplace, which obviously everyone who's looking through Facebook Marketplace is looking to buy. But, when you're advertising on Google, you're not using the marketplace. You're using the regular Facebook feed. And so like Jared, like you said, people don't go on their Facebook feed like, oh yeah, I'm so excited to get hit with these targeted ads, Like people go on Facebook to connect with people, to look at funny memes, to pour out their political views, Like think about how much tougher it is to convert someone who isn't on the platform to buy. Like when people use Google, not to say every person who searches, kitchen refrigerator is looking to buy in the spot, but I think it's fair to say, just using our common sense, that people who are searching for a product are more likely to buy than people who are searching for memes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that, like I said, Facebook is great for spreading word of mouth, brand awareness, things like that, or even local advertisements, if you own a local bar, a local restaurant, things like that. But when it comes to a drop shipping business, it's not going to produce you, good ROIs, especially if you're not selling a high ticket product. And I mean, a big reason is because, like we said, the intent, right? So when it comes to Google, right, you're literally only paying for people that actually search that product type. And, when you get deeper in with your ads, like, me and Mike have gotten for our stores, it's not even just people that are searching that product type. It's people that are actually trying to buy that product type, which is, think about it. You're only paying per click on people that are actually looking to buy that product. So think about every time 100 visitors come to the site, you'll most likely make one sale, and the products are high ticket. You don't have to really do any crazy things to sell them. That's the craziest thing about high ticket compared to low ticket is with low ticket, it's like you have to do all these crazy things to sell a product, make videos, ad copy, build a brand. With high ticket, it's like we don't have any videos, we don't make any ad copy, we don't build brands, we sell. Instead, what we do is we sell brands that are already established, right? So, brands that people already know and are already searching that for whatever reason don't have a lot of people selling. Those are the brands that you'll make a lot of money on and essentially, dominate Google and be very, very profitable.
Yeah, it was well said, Jared. And I also want to point something out. We're not speaking from a point of view of like, oh, we think it's tough to sell on Facebook. Like these aren't our thoughts. For anyone who doesn't know, we tried the low ticket, the AliExpress, the Facebook ads method, and we failed. Which I say that with a grain of salt because while we did fail, we took so many great things out of that experience. And just like I said, just from our experience, like Jared said, there's so many tricks and ponies, and it's like you're doing sleight of hand, like you're watching a magician trying to sell on the platform. Like we paid a mentor, and he had success with Facebook ads. And so just to give you guys a brief kind of idea of what I mean by tricks and ponies on Facebook, like one, you need a stellar video. I would be sitting on my video editing software editing videos for 2 hours. 2 is ad copy. Like I said, people don't go on Facebook to shop, so you need to get their attention. And so, you would do things like make the title all caps, or, use colorful emojis to catch people's attention. Like things like this, you're doing all of this like sleight of hand magic stuff for what? To sell a $40 product that'll, you'll profit $10 on. It's really just a whole different game when we're talking about selling on Facebook, on Google, where it's like, you need serious marketing skills to be good at Facebook, which is, I'm not saying no one succeeds with Facebook because that would just be ignorant to say, there are people who make money using Facebook ads, but think about how much of a amazing top tier marketer you need to be to sell on the platform versus uploading products to Google Shopping and having people search for those products. It's honestly just like night and day.
Yeah. It's funny, like how you mentioned that, because it's like, we do Google ads, and in all honesty, like we have a lot of marketing skills just because we've done so much online marketing. But doing Google ads and high ticket doesn't even give you like real marketing skills other than to just understand Google ads. And it's like we're still producing, results. Like I'll show you guys my phone again, like I did last video. This is the sales for the month right now, and it's like we are not doing any crazy marketing tactics to get these results. We're literally just getting suppliers that are USA brands, real established suppliers, closing the partnership, and then running the Google ads. And the Google ads are simple as, Google shopping ads. People search the product, people find you, people already want to buy the product, they call you. And once they call you, if you're watching this and you're getting started, getting customers on the phone is exactly what you want. That's what you need to get your business started, right? That's how you get yourself in the algorithm. You start making sales, and then the Google algorithm will start to favor you. Mike, you could even tell them, one of our stores, the Google algorithm likes us so much that it's literally letting our ads run for free.
Like I love to say, I'm not going to say no. Never. Never.
Yeah, guys, like honestly, like not to say that we're not spending any money on ads, but we literally have products that we don't run ads to anymore that are still coming up on Google. And that's just what happens when you honestly are running ads for months at a time, making sales. The algorithm can recognize that and starts giving you the benefit of the doubt. So, once you run them for these products, people will come to your site, they'll call you. And once they call you, at that point, you have a real chance to close them. Because think about it like this. They're used to calling these huge companies, right? People that work for $15 an hour, that don't give a crap, that are going to be miserable, that aren't going to be helpful. And then they call you up and it's your life mission to help them. And they're going to tell the difference in, customer service right away. And you'll start closing sales right away. And then, you know, once you make that first sale, it becomes a huge domino effect. Next thing you know, 6 months passes, you did, you know, a few $100,000 in sales, and the sky's the limit at that point.
Exactly. And I do like the point that you brought up about, Google really kind of, the more you spend with them and the more you go through the process with them, they really do start favoring you. And, the free advertising that Jared mentioned, that's something that we've been getting, we've been making sales for products that we cut out of our ads like 8 months ago. And the reason for that is that when coronavirus first hit, Google made an announcement that they were going to start giving advertisers free ads. So you wouldn't have to do paid advertising. And they did say it wouldn't affect the paid advertising, but it did affect us in a positive way because ads that we cut are now running. And, I'm searching this supplier and we're showing up first overall organically. And I think that's mind blowing. Again, I'm not going to say no. I'm never going to say free advertising, but it's pretty crazy. And I know Jared did a sales screenshot, so I guess I'll do one too. Jared, you better watch it back because I'm catching up to you. You're at 63. I'm at 51. And something that I also want to point out that Jared did mention is that I'm pretty sure Facebook charges you just to show the ad to people. So just for impressions, you get charged, whereas Google, you only get charged for the actual clicks, which I think is also pretty crazy in and of itself. But yeah, this 53K that I've done so far this month, that is off of a budget that's spending around $150 a day in ads. And
that's 6 days. That's $700.
Yeah, it's right around like $700-$800.
Oh, no. Sorry, that's about $1,200, I believe. Right?
Okay. Yeah, we're not math guys. We got people to do our numbers for us, as you guys can probably tell.
As more people are joining, I mean, let's just take a second to think about that, guys. He spent $1,200 and has brought back 51,000.
53,000. Get your money.
53,000.
Not 51,000.
At around 20% profit margins, that's $10,000. 11,000 minus 1,000. That means that we've profited roughly, 9 to 10,000 in just 6 days.
Which is pretty crazy.
It's insanely crazy. And we're not saying this to brag to you guys. We're honestly saying this to open your eyes to the fact that when it comes to making money online, me and Mike really have been around. We've been around. And to get results like that is literally staggering. It's literally impossible. And the craziest part about it all is that we're not putting any work in to do it. I mean, I don't know, Mike,
work in.
How much work how many things have you changed to the site to,
yield these?
Why don't you talk about how much you work, what have you had to do to get those results? How about you talk about that?
Yeah, and I think this is more of a testament to what goes into building businesses itself. When I first started this high ticket store, it was, I want to say 4 or 5 days after we shut down our AliExpress, our AliExpress debacle, exercise, experiment, whatever you want to call it. It was 4 days after we failed at AliExpress. And so, right away we were like, all right, we're going to pivot. We're going to do the high ticket thing. And man, did I grind like I have never grinded before. I just graduated college, so it was either I get this business profitable or I get a job. And I don't know if, I'm sure not everyone kind of has watched these lives, but I feel like people who know me know that I'm not the job type. Like I don't like being told what to do. I don't like wearing nice clothes. I don't like being in a cubicle. It's not for me. And so, I really hit the ground running. But that's the amazing part about building a business is that, I grinded for like 5 or 6 months, and then I finally was able to maintain a certain level of profitability. And then after that, the ads were running, the website was up, and that's all I have to do. I spent the time building this money machine per se, and after it was done, yes, I still add suppliers whenever I really want to. Whenever I feel like growing the business, I'll close a supplier, close them, add them to the site. Just 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I added a supplier, and after 2 days of running ads, they made a sale instantly profitable. And I think that just really goes to show. I think, Jed, I think the answer you were looking for is, once you build the system, it's there. Like a viral AliExpress product has an expiration date. It's going to die out eventually. But when you're using these real relationships that you're building and you're advertising on a platform like Google, you're here to stay.
There's a few things I want to say based on your story. One, I know you said that you grinded when we started that store, but I don't know if I would call it grinding.
Oh my goodness. I'm talking.
But
don't let
honestly,
this. Hold on. No. You take that back right now. You take that. I grinded my ass off. I was in Saturday nights. I want to hear it.
I saw a lot of Long Island, summers going on. Is all I'll say. But guys, the important part of the story, right, is the fact that, once you build that system, it gets to a point where you're literally working however long or not long you want to be working, and the money is coming in, right? Like at this point, me and Mike, we work. I mean, let's just say the average person works 40 hours a week. We realistically, honestly, I couldn't even tell you how much I work. I probably work 20 hours a week, honestly. I mean, if you include every hour that I'm technically working, you could say like I work 80 to 100 hours a week, but it's all nonsense, right? Half of it is just hanging around on my phone and laptop. But the point that I'm really getting at is that if we wanted to, we can work literally between 2 and 4 hours a week and make well over 10 grand a month for the rest of our lives, honestly. And that's what happens when you build the infrastructure, the system, is that I actually spoke with a client yesterday. I don't know if he's watching this or not, but he was successful with low ticket. And with low ticket and AliExpress, as Mike mentioned, once your business succeeds, it most likely won't succeed for a few months after. So what he was doing was print on demand t-shirts. So he was trend chasing, right? So whatever trend would happen, he would create a t-shirt around it. And what would happen is he would run the Facebook ad, make like 100 grand in a month, not profit. He'd profit like, let's just say 20 grand in a month. And then what would happen is he would get caught for copyright. Facebook would shut down the ad and he would have to start a new store whenever the next trend is. So he literally had no sustainability. It was make 20 grand, then make nothing, maybe make another 20 grand, make nothing. And it was, you have to keep coming up with new creative ideas. It's just such a grind, right? But with us, we don't do that. We literally find winning products once, run the ads once. And if it works, I mean, I've said in past videos, you really will make money for arguably the rest of your life. I mean, I've only been doing this for 3 years, but I've had products that I've literally been scaling for 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that also needs to be pointed out. You're building a real business here. And, we've seen high ticket dropshipping stores sell for $200,000. Like, we've seen people cash out and literally sell their high ticket store for $200,000, which is pretty insane because, are you more likely to buy a store that is revolved around a viral product, or are you going to build a store that has, connections with real suppliers that, really aren't going anywhere? Yes, manufacturing companies, brands, they shut down sometimes, but for the most part, these guys aren't going anywhere. So, they're here to stay, which I think is also gives some peace of mind. Where, Jared, how much can you sell your store for? What are the numbers?
Well, before I even answer that question, which honestly I don't really know, but I'll give you an estimate. A crazy story is, our mentors and partners, they sold the store for $130,000, right? And these guys knew drop shipping or know drop shipping better than anyone in the world. They sold it to a guy who doesn't even know drop shipping well at all, right? But they built the system, they built the infrastructure. So the ads were running, the products were listed, everything was up. So this guy literally bought the store for 130 grand off these master drop shippers, and then a year or two later ended up selling it for $400,000 or $350,000. He sold it for triple what he bought it for without knowing anything about drop shipping. It required no maintenance, no maintain. It required it, but he didn't even do it. He literally just let the ads run, didn't change anything. And that just goes to show how crazy this business model is, once you find success, you literally can make money forever. And it's just like, if that isn't a crazy enough example, like he literally bought the store with no knowledge and it continued to profit well over 10 grand a month until he eventually sold it for over 300 grand. As of right now, I have a store that I can sell for probably at least 600 or 700 grand, but I wouldn't even consider selling it right now because of how much the world is in disarray and everything going on. But my goal is to get that store to $1 million a month and then eventually sell it for a few $1,000,000 and then never worry about drop shipping again.
Exactly. And then, do whatever you want with that money and run with it, put it into more assets. But, I think we kind of give a good idea of the type of business. And, this video is supposed to be about Google ads. So, I think everyone kind of has the understanding that when people are searching for your product and, your ad is showing in front of them, you have a much better shot of converting them as opposed to selling it on, another social media website. So let's actually dive in a little bit and talk a little bit about what kind of ads we actually do run. We're not gonna go giving away the secret sauce. So if you want the secret sauce, have moremoney.com. I know we have a lot of members in here right now already. So bear with us. So just to start off, to give you guys a general idea of the type of Google Shopping ads that we run, we start off with 2 campaigns, a generic campaign and a branded campaign. Generic is people searching kitchen refrigerators, which, again, I'm just using this as an example. Decently warm traffic. People who search kitchen refrigerators, maybe not all the time, are going to want to buy, but you still have a chance of converting. And the other side of the coin is the branded campaign, which is when people are searching the manufacturer's name and the product, or just the manufacturer's name. So I only know one refrigerator brand, and that's LG. I know Samsung also makes refrigerators, believe it or not. These sound like phone brands, but they're refrigerator brands. So someone searching LG refrigerator or LG kitchen refrigerator combination, whatever it is, that right there is such warmer traffic. If you really, you think about a sale funnel, so people who are searching generically are at the top of the funnel. They're still trying to figure out what kind of refrigerator they want, what size, what price, what fits their needs. But people who are searching for the exact manufacturer or the exact supplier that you're carrying on your website, it is so much further down the funnel that you need to be spending on those searches because those are some money searches that if you're getting impressions and clicks for it, your chances of converting are pretty damn good.
Yeah, I believe the word you were looking for earlier, Mike, was granular.
Granular.
When you were talking about the in-depth searches. But guys, just to give you another example, right? This is not a product type we sell, but let's just say laptops, right? So you would want to come up when people Google just laptops for sale, right? Now let's just say the laptop you're selling is exactly as a MacBook. You would also want to come up when people type in Macs for sale, right? So think about that as the difference between the branded and the generic campaign. You want to come up for both, and you want to be able to reach people on all sides of the spectrum. But at the same time, you want to make sure your money is being spent as effectively as possible. And that's why we set things up the way we do. And that's why we teach things the way we teach them, is because we want to give you guys, one, the ability to come up for as many searches as possible, and two, be as effective as possible. We don't want you wasting money on, search terms that people aren't going to really buy from. So, let me ask you guys a question. Obviously, only Mike can really answer it, but, who do you think is more likely to buy a product, right? Someone that Googles, laptops, or someone that Googles MacBook Pro 2020 for sale? Obviously the second one, this guy already knows the exact laptop he wants. He knows the exact model he wants. He knows the year he wants, and that's someone that's going to purchase. And that is why, when you start running ads for a product, right, you're not going to be as effective as possible, because when it comes to Google, what happens is you rank for a lot of keywords that aren't going to be good keywords, or you might be spending too much on the mobile device as opposed to the laptops, or because majority of sales will come from people searching on the computers. So from the day you first launch an ad for any given supplier, understand that you're really not going to be running the most effective ad as possible until about 6 months after you run that ad. And that is why a business like this compounds so much over time. Because think about it. you keep closing new suppliers, right? While your old suppliers, the ads just keep getting more and more effective, and you're scaling and you're spending more money on, better keywords that are more likely to purchase. You're removing keywords that aren't likely to purchase. You're making sure your device spends are in order. And next thing you know, 6 months later, you have super effective ads for the products you started with. So those are selling at a high level. You kept closing new suppliers. So now you have better products that are more likely to sell. And as time progresses, the cycle just keeps continuing. And, as long as you stick with us, as long as you listen to what we say, as long as you stay consistent, then there's no reason why from the day that you first run ads, 8 to 12 months later, you're not profiting over 10 grand a month.
Yeah, exactly. These aren't like random guarantees or promises that we're throwing out there. We would never guarantee anything, but we're speaking strictly from experience that, like you said, if you implement this strategy and you stay consistent, because consistency really does, it rules. So you keep that consistency, it should just kind of make sense off the top. Another thing that Jared mentioned that is so important is the device bidding. I'm not sure if this is a Facebook feature. I think it is as well, but think about how much easier it is to buy something on a computer rather than on your phone. And so, a mistake that I made when I first started is that I was getting all these great branded clicks, and I was so confused as to, one, why the branded clicks were so cheap, and two, why I wasn't converting as much. And the answer to both of those is because I didn't check my device bidding. I had hundreds of clicks on mobile phones and only a couple of sales to show for it. So, obviously we teach ways to adjust that. But, if you're getting just mobile phone traction, it's going to be tougher to convert. And, because of that, naturally, advertisers like ourselves will spend more for the computer clicks. So actually, there are some ad groups where the mobile phone will get more clicks or just as many clicks as the computer, but the computer still outspends it. And that's really what matters the most. Same thing, going back to the generic and branded campaign example, sometimes, some days, the generic campaign will have more clicks than the branded campaign, but that's only because we're bidding a lot more on the branded than the generic. So I don't know if that makes sense. You're not getting as many clicks, but you're getting more quality clicks. It's not the quantity, it's the quality. John, I'm not sure if I explained that very well, but did that?
Listen, you want to know how to explain that is how Mike is now spending $120 a day, but averaging $10,000 in sales a day. We tell people these returns and they don't believe us. And that's fine with us because at the end of the day, we don't really care. But it's crazy because this is what happens. Granted, Mike's store right now, the ROI is the best I've ever seen. But, even one of my other stores, we're spending, $1,000 a day right now. And that's actually the store that shows 63K in sales. We've really done around 120K in sales, but we've had a lot of refunds from previous months. But that's the thing, is that store is spending around $1,000 a day, and it's bringing in, close to 20K a day in sales right now. So, that's even a store that's spending, 5 times or 10 times as much. We're still seeing unbelievable ROIs. Another one of our stores is spending like $300 or $400 a day, and it's also doing 10K days. So it's like, all of our stores are producing crazy ROIs. And, we can tell you guys, when we did a Facebook ad store with low ticket and AliExpress, I think we spent like $3 grand to do $5 grand in sales and ended up losing $1,000. So, that's the difference. When it comes to Google ads, and high ticket, when you mix Google ads and high ticket products, what you're doing is you're setting yourself up to be in the best position possible to be profitable.
Exactly. Because, not only there's just so many things that go into, profitability. One, Google ads are cheaper than Facebook. So, you're getting cheaper clicks. Two, when you're selling high ticket products, your margins are, naturally going to be better for one sale. So, again, quality over quantity. And so, maybe we don't make as many sales as people selling the cheap products, but when we make sales, they're they're dingers. As you know, as we like for my baseball fans, they're dingers. You know, when you look at your phone and you hear the ka-ching and it's a $4,000 sale, and then you look at the cost per conversion in the Google ad and it says $9 for this. The conversion value is literally like $7,000-8,000. It's like it's mind-boggling. It really is. And a lot of the main question is when I explain this to people is between the generic and the branded, how do you get them to go down the funnel? How do you send them the other way? That is also secret sauce for our members who have gotten to the Google Ads portion. You guys know the answer. But yeah, I love checking my search terms and seeing these just spot on. Sometimes I'll see the supplier's name, the product type, and buy now. So people are literally searching buy now for this particular product. I'm like, oh my, that's money in the bank. Like,
yeah, and wow, I actually forgot what I was gonna say.
I love it.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say, guys. As Mikey mentioned with dingers, right? Don't if you're seeing success with high ticket, do yourself a favor and don't start trying to branch into low ticket products. I made a sale today of a new supplier, right? And the new supplier, 90% of their products are $3,000 or above. So when I saw the email came in for the sale and I saw the name of the supplier, I was like, awesome, huge sale. I was so excited because, anytime you make a brand new supplier sale, it's really exciting, right? As me and Mike always say, we think of each new supplier as a new store. So to me, it's like, oh my God, I have a new source of income. I can't believe I just made a new sale. And then I saw the sale was for $68. So you want to keep the dingers flowing, right? And this supplier is mostly dingers, mostly $3,000 and above, but they did have accessories. So I figured, well, I'll list them, give them a chance. And of course, our first sale today, which we actually launched the supplier only 2 days ago, guys. And that's what's so crazy about this business model is you can find new suppliers and launch them and literally make sales that week. Better yet, I've had suppliers that I have launched and made $40K in sales within 2 weeks of launching them. Now, if you're watching this and you're brand new, you're not going to do that with your first supplier. But as you get better, as you truly understand the game, by the time you've closed 10 to 15 suppliers, not just closed, but listed and launched them, it starts becoming clockwork. And when you put a system in place like we have, it's like we close a supplier, have a team list them, put the catalog, build the collection, and we launch them like clockwork at this point. Like it's literally a system. And that's what's going to allow us to scale our stores, to $1 million a month each. Right now, we're doing $1 million a month between all our stores combined, but the ultimate goal is to get them to $1 million a month each. So, you got to put a system in place.
Yeah, and Jared, I think you used the term, you look at every supplier as a new store. That's one way to put it. I prefer each supplier as a new stream of income. Everyone always, all these entrepreneur people, these figureheads, they're always saying multiple streams of income. And that it's 1,000% true. You can't be relying on one source of income. So, like I said, my ideology is that every time I add a supplier, they have the potential to be a stream of income. So, let's say one supplier is profiting me $3,000 a month. I have one profiting $3,000, another profiting $2,000. Like if I can add a supplier to my Google ads, launch them, and let's say they make me $800. Listen, it's not a whole lot, but it's working. If I can keep doing that, then by the time I'm 11 months, 12 months deep, I will have a store that's profiting $25,000, $30,000 a month, which actually has happened, which has happened to myself and the current store that I'm working with, because from our experience, there's different types of successful suppliers. I've brought this up before, but on Jared's main primary store, he has this one supplier that just absolutely kills it. Kills it for him. It's the definition of a winning supplier. And when I was first learning high ticket, my mentality was, all right, I have to find this, like the supplier that Jared has, I have to find this version of it for myself. I need to find one supplier that's going to knock it out of the park. And, this is what we were talking about. Jared's like, yeah, you have to find your version of these guys. And I'm like, you're right. And then after like 3 or 4 months, I started to realize, like, I don't want to be looking for, I don't want to use the word viral, but I don't want to be looking for that one hit wonder. I don't want to be playing the game of I need to keep testing until I find one that works. I kind of pivoted my mindset, and instead of looking for one supplier to make me 30 grand a month, let me find 10 suppliers that make me 30 grand a month. Because there's, although I hadn't seen anybody do it, I just kind of thought to myself, listen, if I could just find a bunch of small ones instead of one big one, I can make it work. And I did exactly that. Right now I have, I think, 9 suppliers running in my website. Most of the profit is brought in by 3 of them. But yeah, that's, I got to this point by pivoting my mindset. And like I said, instead of looking for that one viral AliExpress product, or in our case, that one dinger supplier, focus on finding, ones that, you can put in a line, multiple streams of income. And, I think that's a more efficient way. Jared, obviously, listen, Jared's store has had $600,000 months, so power to him. But I think you can kind of agree that, it's maybe not always the best looking for that one winner.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily agree with everything you said. And, there's a few reasons. One, you having that mentality of trying to find a winning supplier is what, ultimately drove you to continuously closing new suppliers. Because that's the thing, is if you weren't looking for something that big, then you may have stopped when, because we had some suppliers that were bringing in, a little bit of money, pretty quickly. But if you didn't have, the idea of finding someone that big, you may have stopped there. So it's like you knew there was more to it. And, your store's path obviously was different. And I know Mike said that he only has 9 suppliers running right now. But guys, keep in mind, what if you've listed and launched, 25, 30 suppliers, right?
I would say more like 30 to 40. Yeah.
Yeah. He's listed 30 to 40, launched 30 to 40. But as we've mentioned, guys, when you run ads, not everything's effective right away. So he's cut a lot of suppliers. He's cut a lot of ads. And, that's now he only has 9 suppliers running. I know you said most of the profit comes from 3 of them, but I think at least like 5 or 6 of them bring in profit for sure.
No, I mean, if they didn't bring in profit, I would cut them. So they all make sales on a monthly.
All 9, yeah.
But I said, I don't need a supplier bringing in $4,000 profit. If the profit's $700 in a month, I'm going to let it run.
Yeah, exactly. If the profit's anything, guys, let it run, because profit is profit. Protect your bottom line at all costs. Now, so, that's the first thing I don't necessarily agree with what Mike said was, he had such high hopes, which is why he kept closing suppliers even after finding what some people might consider something really good. And the second thing is, with the store that, my store, yes, the bulk of the income is one supplier. But don't be mistaken, I still have many other suppliers. On the store, we have at least 25 to 30 suppliers, and we're definitely running ads for, 12 to 15 suppliers. So, has the store done $600K a month? Yes. It typically does around $500,000 a month right now. But it's not all from one supplier, guys. I would say out of the 500-600, probably 300 is one supplier. So think about it like that. Like I have 10 suppliers running ads right now, and 50 to 60% of the revenue is from one supplier, and then the other 8 or 9 make up the rest. So that just goes to show, another reason as to why, even if you find suppliers that are making you good money, then the first thing you should do, right, is systemize your business so you can close more suppliers and grow that company. Being someone now that, me and Mike have almost 50 students, we've seen some of our students find suppliers and absolutely take off. And for me, that stuff is so inspiring because it just makes me realize that there's always more money on the table that you need to be getting, a piece of your pie. Like every time I think I'm doing well, every time I think I can, take my foot off the gas, we have another student come in and find a supplier and make $1 million. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, I could have made that $1 million.
Yeah, and obviously, he's exaggerating by the million, but like he said, obviously we always look to inspire, the people that we work with or who we're mentoring, whatever it is. But like Jared just mentioned, it's so easy for us to get inspired too, because, you see someone close a supplier and it's just like, listen, what did I do today? Maybe I didn't put in any work. I could have put in that work, found that supplier, and bang, I could have grown my business by that much more. And I think that's a pretty cool concept that you can really launch a supplier in your ads and within a couple of days make some sales. It's really crazy. Another thing that I just want to clear up from my story talking about your store, Jared, is not don't think, all right, if this one dinger, this winning supplier comes around, I don't want him. That's not really what I meant. I meant more so in a mindset way where it's like I almost got discouraged when a supplier would only profit like $700-800 a month. And that's what I'm trying to get at, where it's like, so many things are just point of view, it's their perspective. Whereas like if you can, instead of be like, oh, I wish these guys made $5,000 instead of $800, say, all right, these guys are making $800. Let me find 6 more of them, and we'll get to where I want to be. And it's really when you learn a high income skill, which is what you're doing when you're learning this high ticket drop shipping. When you're learning Google Ads, you can just keep replicating the process. And I mean, like as it shows, me and Jared didn't just build one drop shipping store and call it quits. It's a skill that you can duplicate for as long as you really want to.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing, is that ultimately the way that Mike's store came up is a lot more reasonable and a lot more likely for your store than the way my first store came up. I would say chances are you're going to find a bunch of suppliers that'll make you $1 to $2 grand each, $2 to $3 grand each, and you have 6 of those. Now you're making 15 to 20 grand, as opposed to finding one supplier that's going to make you 20 to 30 grand a month. But as long as you stay consistent, trust the process, then the sky's the limit. You might find a supplier that makes you 20 grand a month. You might find 10 that make you 2 grand a month. But what we always recommend is to continuously close 2 to 4 suppliers a month after you launch your store. And at that point, as long as you're following the formulas, there's a good chance you'll be successful.
Yeah, exactly. And I also want to point out that my ROI is it's not super common. Spending $150 in a day and then getting like 10K in revenue, it doesn't always work like that. And that's why we definitely have to go out of our way to teach what you're looking for in a supplier, because how much you spend in the Google ads is usually just a reflection of the suppliers that you're closing. Think about if you have 15 retailers bidding for one supplier, think about how much you're going to have to spend. Whereas if you find a pretty low key supplier with a pretty decent high volume of searches, you're going to be able to spend not that much and make a good sale, which is why, when we see a supplier that is only sold by Wayfair, Home Depot, Lowe's, we jump on that like, I got a fire in the pit of my stomach. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me, because if you're only competing in Google ads against these big box stores, you're gonna win. I'll dominate Home Depot for as long as I live. I will out Google ad them, because I mean, think about it. When you're that big of a store, how the hell is Wayfair gonna monitor their Google ads for every single supplier and check it every single day? Like, I don't check my Google ads every day anymore, but if I check them once or twice a week and I see that I'm getting outbidded by someone else, I'll adjust it. It's like, let me face off against these big box stores. That's all. They should
Well, that's funny how like the noobs will always say, how do you compete with the big box retailers? But the big box retailers are the easiest to compete with. The hardest to compete with is the other drop shippers. There's a few reasons why. One, as Mike mentioned, the ads, they just don't get as in depth with each of their products. 2, they don't sell back orders. If an item goes out of stock, a big box retailer will remove it off the website immediately. Guys, I'm telling you now, back orders has been arguably the key to at least our success, my success. I've made millions of dollars off literally selling products that aren't in stock. So if your supplier has things on back order, that's fine. Run the ad, make the sales, and then, tell the customer afterwards. As sketchy as it might sound, it's a lot easier to close a sale once you already have their money. So, close the sale, deal with the consequences later. If you're on the phone with a customer and they ask what's the wait time, then, be honest with them, tell them the wait time. But, let the ads run, let the sales come in. If you haven't spoken to the customer yet, simply send them an email letting them know the wait time. Yes, you might get cursed out sometimes. Yes, people might get angry, but probably 70% of the customers will agree to wait. So I'm telling you, if you decided to not sell back order products, you'd be missing out on, 60 to 70% of potential revenue. So when you're only competing with big box retailers, right? Think about it like this. If an item goes on back order, your only competition is completely gone because, like I said, the big box retailers like Walmart and Wayfair, they automatically remove it off the site once it goes out of stock. So you would be the only one selling the product. And I'm telling you, your sales will flow in. A lot of my businesses, I've been a part of now 6 different businesses from 0 to 6 figures. And a lot of them, they got their initial momentum off of back order. And I'll let you guys hear the ka-ching as we're talking, made a little sale. But one more thing as to why this business model, is the best business model today is because think about it, guys. The biggest online companies, right? Not including Amazon, so Walmart and Wayfair, the biggest online companies, Home Depot as well, they follow this formula. Everyone else is trying to build a fake AliExpress brand or selling what I call, a one product boutique with Facebook ads and all that. But the biggest companies, the billion-dollar companies are, Wayfair, Walmart, Home Depot. And what are these stores? They're literally just high ticket dropshipping stores that, they have more than high ticket products, but they're just high ticket dropshipping stores. Think about it. They're just a website that have retailers. A lot of the retailers are shipping it from their own warehouse. So a lot of it is drop shipped and they're selling real brands. And last but not least, what we're teaching is to literally do the exact same thing. It's to literally call the brands off those websites, see if you can sell the product. So think about it like that, with your little store that has 10 to 20 brands, the reason why you're not doing $1 billion a year is because you don't have 5,000 brands like these sites or whatever, 10,000 brands, 100,000. I don't know how many brands, Walmart and Wayfair have, but you better believe it's in the probably 50 plus to 100,000 plus range.
Yeah, and when I tell people that Wayfair is primarily a drop shipping store, and that's because they do some private labeling and whatever, but when I tell people that they're 85 to 90% drop shipping, it blows their mind because Wayfair it's a publicly traded company. They're really the biggest drop shipping store on earth. And it is pretty crazy to think that what we're doing in building these high ticket stores is just building mini versions of Wayfair. Obviously, without the whole sex trafficking scandal, but that's pretty what we're doing. And Jen, I know you spoke about the whole out of stock deal. And you said it perfectly how we never, I don't know if you want to consider that a little unethical, not marking products out of stock. Listen, if we tell you the next day, hey, it's out of stock. If you want your money back, you get every penny back. We're not scamming people. It's not like once you buy, you don't get your money back. But like Jared said, it's crazy that majority of the time, and especially now during COVID, everyone kind of expects there to be a delay. It makes it even easier to close these back order sales. And just to kind of tie in the out of stock point that we're making into the Google ads, when the big box stores like Home Depot, like Wayfair, mark the product out of stock, it automatically becomes ineligible into Google Shopping. So they're no longer running ads to these products. So think about it. Not only are we the only ones selling it, but before when it was in stock, we're spending $2. Our max CPC is at like $2. Now that nobody else is running Google ads because they all have it out of stock, we can get away with clicks for like 70, 80 cents and still convert them. So it's honestly mind-blowing how, listen, you'd rather a product be in stock just so when you make the sale, you're making the profit. But sometimes when products go out of stock, a part of you is just like, ooh, like what's in store? It's honestly, it's a crazy game. It really is a crazy game. And I kind of hope it should make sense because it's just how it is from our experience.
Yeah, Mikey. So, I want to pivot this conversation a little bit now, right? So let's just say hypothetically, you close a supplier, you launch a supplier, and right away they start making sales, right? They give you a good feeling, like this supplier has potential. Why don't you discuss some of the potential scaling strategies that you would use after realizing that this supplier is worth scaling?
Yeah, exactly. So, I pretty much am able to tell if a supplier is going to be a winner after like a week or two. You could really tell by, if it's getting a lot of brand searches, if you're getting sales. First of all, if they're making sales off the bat, you better be dominating. When I say dominating is you raise your CPC up so that way when people search, you're getting that top impression majority of the time. All right, so that's obviously the first thing that you need to do. And then second, which I know that I think Valdez, you wrote a question about text ads. Text ads are a skill that we use to scale profitable and winning suppliers, but it's a skill that once you have down is so valuable beyond dropshipping. And I'm actually about to release my text ad walkthrough in the upcoming week to our students. We didn't start it off with that because it really is a scaling method. But when I say search ad, you search something in Google. The shopping ads are the squares that come up. The text ads are I don't even know, like the actual text. Ads that are text that show up at the top. So, let's say someone searches green water bottle. I can now have let's say I have a green water bottle. I can make it show up number 1 overall. And so I know that's just kind of a random example that I'm using just to kind of point out that this skill of knowing how to do search ads and Google ads in general can really help you sell any product. But, tying it back to high ticket, obviously if it's selling in the shopping ads, it's going to sell in the text ads. And you can really, there's so many different ways that you can pivot that, I just love text ads.
Yeah, text ads, retargeting, scaling the budgets. I mean, these are all, guys, these are $1 million, scaling secrets right now. I mean, this is how we've done millions of dollars, as, we've posted in the screenshots. And, this is all we do. We really, I'll give you guys a little secret of business, right? Is that there's a million ways to make $1 million. So the key is to find one way and then to just go all in on it. You find success in this business model. Why would you try starting new businesses? I mean, obviously we've started plenty of new business and I still do, but I always make sure to spend time growing my dropshipping stores. Because think about it. You found success and now what? Why would you stop there? There's thousands of products, millions of products that you won't be selling even after you found success. So that there's billions of dollars still out there even after you found success. So that's the point, is even though there's millions of ways to make $1 million, right here is one way. And even after you're successful, you got to just keep going. You got to keep growing the store, scaling the ads, and landing new suppliers. Because like we said, guys, even if you're making $100,000 a month, then there's still billions of dollars out there that you're not making. So, that's key in life and business, is to keep doing what works.
Exactly. Don't fix something that's not broken. Really quick, I do want to give an example of, I don't know if I was able to explain it well, what a text ad is. So I just searched Nike, and you see that first one that come up is ad. I don't know, Jack, were you able to see that?
Let me see. Hold on.
Probably wasn't looking, but it's that kind of ad. And so what I mean by a skill that goes beyond dropshipping is, yes, we're going to use our search terms on our supplier. So, if they're selling, if we make sales on a supplier, and, we'll make sure that every time someone searches that supplier, this product will come up. Just an idea that I thought of like a couple weeks ago, I was like, that could use this skill is, imagine you did like funny custom like sports jerseys. You could literally make a text ad for custom sports jerseys, and bang, your ad appears. If it's something unique, if you have a unique offer to make, then Google ads are the way to go. I would say unique offer 1, and 2, margins, because I would never say try to sell a $30 gadget using Facebook ads. That's why I have people DM me on Twitter. They'll be like, hey, you talk about Google ads, like I've tried it and I've never had any success. And then I'm like, send me the product that you're using Google Ads for. And some people have literally not even sent me to their store. They've sent me the AliExpress link. And I'm like, I don't even answer because I do answer because, I do want to I want to give them the information. I'm like, listen, if you're going to be running these Google shopping and search ads, you can't be doing it with these, one, garbage products, and two, products that don't have profit margins. Like, we can spend $200 on a supplier, make a sale, and be $200 in the green. We could profit $400 on one sale. And when you have those kind of margins, it's a lot less scary throwing money in ads. Like, when you have in the back of your mind, like, hey, if I make one sale, I'm instantly profitable, it's money in the bank. It puts your mind at ease. That being said, you do need to kind of know when to pull the plug. You don't want to be going thousands of dollars into debt for one supplier that's clearly not working. And that's something that you just kind of feel out as you go. But I mean, yeah, when you're selling with high ticket items and you have these kind of margins, you got money to play with, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, you definitely want to always, be with the high margins. In my opinion, margin percentage is a little overrated. I think margin dollar is more important. So what do I mean by that? What do you think is better, a 90% margin or a 20%? Obviously, if I say at first, since I didn't give you guys any more context, you're going to automatically say, 90% margins are better. But what if I told you that the 90% margin is an item that's $10 and the 20% margin is an item that's $1,000? So guess what? The 90% margin is only making you $9 per sale, right? Because it's only a $10 item. The 20% is a $1,000 item, so you're making $200 per sale. So, keep in mind, guys, that margin percentage is important, but margin dollar is more important. And, when it comes to advertising, you learn why, right? Even if you're getting a 90% margin, it doesn't matter because you have to make a sale every time you spend, $4 or $5 to profit, or $6 or $7 to be profitable, which is very, very difficult. If you're only getting a 20% margin, but the item's super expensive, think about it. If you're getting a 20% margin on a $100,000 item, you're getting $20,000 profit. That means you can spend $15K in ads, make one sale, and profit $5,000. So, always keep that in mind, guys, that margin dollar is more important than margin percentage, but, you need that balance of both, and that's why what we say for high ticket, good margins are, between 20 and 30%, where low ticket, you need 80% margins. But like I said, an 80% margin doesn't really mean anything if the item is so cheap that it's still very difficult to be profitable.
Yeah, that's I'm glad you pointed that out, Jared, because I've heard that before, that people are like, like one of my friends drop ships and he gets 50% of all of his sales or whatever it is. And, that's the simple fact of the matter. And that's also why, when you see low ticket stores, that you see crazy sales numbers and you see the profit percentages. So let's say someone does $300,000 on a low ticket store at 40% margins. That's pretty good. But Facebook is it's highway robbery. It really is that, people could literally spend like $30,000 on Facebook ads for those kind of numbers. And like, again, I'm speaking from experience, things that, we've done ourselves. I got a Snapchat memory about a month ago, maybe like in like June, I think I got a Snapchat memory, and it was of my sales for my low ticket store, and it was something like $6,000 for the month, even if that. And I was just like, I didn't even know what to say. I was embarrassed that those are really numbers that I was looking up to. And then I pivot the camera to the Facebook ads, and I spent like hundreds of bucks in a day. And now when I spend $150 a day in Google ads, I get an ROI of 10K in sales. And it makes me happy to see that I've made progress. It also makes me unhappy that I really fell into that hole, which is why, the whole point that we kind of try to drill this in people's heads is that we don't want them to fall into the same hole that we've fallen into. And, I hope, and I know that I've steered people away from that business just from, just saying how I really feel. You know, I'm just trying to. Me and Jared, we're always trying to be as real as possible, and you know, we got stung by it before, so we don't want to see anybody else get stung by it.
Tell me how you really feel. But
Well,
you know, Mike, don't be upset about, you know, your failures, because obviously we've had plenty of failures together. And ultimately, and guys, anyone listening to this, you know, if you failed in the past and you're watching this, then that just shows that you're on the path to success. Like us, you know, we failed our first, you know, 4 businesses, and ultimately we finally became successful because we found something that worked. You know, a lot of times when people fail, it's not even that it's their fault. A lot of times it's just what they didn't work. And as long as you stick with it, or better yet, start new businesses, you'll eventually find success. Another thing I wanted to touch on that you said was that, wow, I keep losing my thought today.
you always lose your thoughts. It ain't just a thing.
I'm sorry about that. Mike, you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did we lose?
Did I lose you? You hear me? Did I?
Hello?
Oh. Yep.
I think we froze a little bit. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Oh.
Mike, can you hear me?
I think I may have lost.
Sorry, I think I'm still frozen.
I hear you, but I don't think you hear me.
Okay, now I can hear you. Are we good?
All right, we're good. I don't see you, but I think we're doing everyone the favor by not letting them see you. Yeah, so while I wait for Jared to kind of get his connection back, you know, he was talking about failures before. And realistically, the only people who never fail are the people who never really tried. And so that was always my kind of take on it was, you know...
Hello?
Oh, you're back?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I don't know what's going on with the connection, guys. I'm sorry.
These guys got the Walmart connection. Bear with us. Don't worry. Hopefully within a month or two's time, we will be doing these live from a new crib, but we won't have Wi-Fi issues there.
I'm trying to be. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Jared? So thank God we can't hear him. We can't see him. But I would like to just kind of... All right, guys, bear with us. In the meantime, keep dropping any questions you got in the chat. Like I said, we don't have a whole lot of questions today, which, you know, we love the questions because they kind of help steer the conversation, and we also get to find out...
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
We also get to find out...
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello, Mike?
Yep. Oh, we're good. I can see you.
I can hear you. Are we good? Okay. So, guys, I'm sorry about that.
You're a little
Nice.
pixelated, but I think you're
So
good.
the one thing I wanted to touch up on before we end. All right, that's fine. Can you hear me though?
Yeah. I feel like you're hearing me late.
Yeah, I think everything's a little late right now. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on right now. But what I was saying is that, you know, when it comes to this business, this is what's paying the bills. You know, this is free. This is it.
This is it. So, I mean, let's just chat. I'm guessing you could hear me good. I know we're lagging a little bit. Let's get to some of these questions. And then we'll wrap it up from there. Oh, looks like I lost Jared. All right. Can I get some love in the chat? What are you guys hearing? Can you hear me good? Sephora's, you said you're lagging too. Lopez. What is going on? All right. Jared?
What the hell?
I can hear you now. Don't say nothing that you don't want to say. All right, so Alex, you said that you can hear me but not Jared. I think you guys would rather that, so I'm going to get through any questions that I can. Valdis, you said, so as the orders come in, do your VAs call up your reps at the suppliers, tell them to build a credit card on file, and voila? Do you guys then get confirmation email from supplier with tracking to send? Yeah, so I mean, you used a lot of words to describe it, but that's exactly what we do. The order comes into us. We know if it's out of stock or not just from inventory updates, but most suppliers have you send out a formal purchase order, so it's really just an Excel sheet. You put your billing address, you put your shipping address, you put the SKU and the product that they ordered, and you put the wholesale price. You email them the purchase order. They have your credit card on file, and they do the rest. Sometimes certain suppliers will charge you shipping based on where it's going. So sometimes they'll email you back saying, hey, this is the shipping charge. Do you approve it? And you're good to go. But yeah, it's so crazy that to think that you can drop ship products that are this expensive, just like 1-2, but that's exactly what we do. Order comes into us, and send it to the supplier. Valdis, also, any advice on how you can rank your ad better than a competitor on the same product? Not really. Like we said, compounding, the more Google gets